Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we have 1 week remaining in the college football regular season. I'm ready for playoffs. I'm ready for conference championships. I'm ready for some good football games, and we have no shortage of them this weekend. So we'll start off with our rankings again. Who's still in the hunt? The Ohio State Buckeyes, Florida State Seminoles, Oregon Ducks, Washington Huskies, Georgia Bulldogs, Texas Longhorns, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. There was a slight movement this week in my rankings. So in the hunt teams, the SEC has 2 left. Big 10 has 1, Big 12 1, Pac 12 has 2, ACC has 1. James Madison in the other category has dropped off. 1, they lost. 2, there was that whole discussion about whether they were bowl eligible for some reason. They were going to file a lawsuit and then lost and didn't make sense to. So they have been removed from the rankings. And now we're down to 7 that I think have a legitimate chance to make it to the college football playoff. Number 7 is those Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns. So I did a couple things different this week. So I put some stats just because I thought they were interesting. Texas kind of middle of the road on most things. Not great. Not great on anything. But kind of middle of the road. Their points against is admirable, but I don't think enough. However, I added, and they have a game this weekend coming up against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. So that should be a good one, fun to watch. I added something new this week. This is the strength of schedule based on their opponents. So this 4610 is the average opponent ranking. So as you can see, they're number 3 in the nation in strength of schedule. The only 2 teams ahead of them are not playoff contending teams. One is the Arizona State Sun Devils, and the other one is the Utah Utes. So this is just the average rank of your opponent during the entire season. So they have pretty good strength of schedule. I was honestly shocked by that, legitimately. So then we go to the Oregon Ducks. This is where the slight movement happened to move Oregon down 1 spot. I just feel like Alabama's getting ready to do Alabama things. So, Oregon Ducks are 2nd in passing yards, 2nd in points for. So they have another high-powered offense out there in the Washington Pac-12. They play Oregon State this weekend. Also should be a great game, and will determine a lot moving forward. With Oregon, they are going to be in the conference championship, very likely against the Washington Huskies, a rematch of an earlier season matchup. Should be fun to watch. They're 64th in strength of schedule with an average opponent ranking of 63.8. So they're quite a ways down there. Much easier schedule than the previously mentioned Texas Longhorns. Then we go to the Roll Tide. The Iron Bowl's always fun to watch. And that's this weekend against Auburn at Auburn. As you can see, Alabama is doing nothing spectacular, but everything kind of in that mid-range. So their strength of schedule represents that as well. They're 23rd for the 2nd highest strength schedule of teams left on this list. So they played tough competition. They've come out on top. They're rolling through as of late. Picking up that Alabama steam. They beat Chattanooga 66-10 this weekend. They beat Kentucky 49-21 last weekend. And then they beat ranked LSU 42-28 the previous weekend. So they're hitting their stride. They're doing it right at the right time. They had some toss-ups earlier this year, but again, they've had an impressive strength of schedule that could force them back into the playoff. But for now, we have number 4, the first playoff team in, the Florida State Seminoles. So some interesting things with the Florida State Seminoles. Jordan Travis had a pretty nasty knee injury. Their quarterback, I don't know if it's a knee or a leg. It's something, but yeah, we'll see. He could be back, but I'm not 100% sure. If you look at the ESPN articles from himself, Florida State career is over, but the job is not finished. It was a pretty nasty injury. I'm not going to play it because it was gross. So, but if you are interested in going to look for it, Jordan Travis injury. And they were down. It was not looking good for the Noles. They were down 13-0 to North Alabama. North Alabama is Nobodyville. Not a very good team. After the Travis injury, they went on a 58-0 run and beat North Alabama 58-13. But it was not looking good until the Travis injury. So sometimes things happen for a reason, and it seemed to turn the tide. I mean, they would rather have Jordan Travis as their quarterback, but sometimes things happen that are outside of your control, and you do your best to work with them. So Tate Rodemaker will be the new quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles, and like I said, he looked really good. They have a tough matchup at Florida in the Swamp, so and I still think that if they lose any going forward, they're out on the official rankings from ESPN, from the committee. They are in the 5th spot. So close, but and they've determined that they're going to get Louisville in the ACC championship, another top 10 team. Here's team leaders. Again, Jordan Travis out for the season, very likely. So Tate Rodemaker will be passing for the Noles, but Trey Benson and Keon Coleman are still putting in work. 17th in passing yards, 8th in points for, 63rd in rushing yards, and 12th for points against. A decent defense, can put up points. I still think they're a great football team, even with the loss of the quarterback. So their strength of schedule, they are 66th. 66th with a 64.3 average score. Not a great strength of schedule, but the ACC is not a fantastic conference either. Their wins against ranked teams. So there's an interesting part about ranked teams. Ranked teams they record them as the rank that they were when you played them. So LSU is no longer ranked, but at the time, LSU is ranked number 5 in the nation. The Duke Blue Devils were number 16 when Florida State beat them. Both games, they won relatively easy. So Duke was a 38-20 win, and LSU was 45-24. So they handled the big competition on the big stage. That's why I think they should be in. Number 3 remains the Washington Throw the Football Huskies. They have the Apple Cup this weekend against in-state rival Washington State Cougars, followed by the Pac-12 Championship, which looks like it is going to be that thorn in their side, the Oregon Ducks. And that brings up an interesting, well, if Oregon beats Washington in the Pac-12 championship game, then who deserves to go? Because then they would each beat each other. And frankly, it could knock both of them out, depending on what happens above them. So Penix Jr. is still tearing it up. I'm still hoping he gets to 4,000 yards for the season, depending on the playoff push. I think that he should probably be able to get there. Dylan Johnson, 879, and Rome Odunze leading the way with 1,206 receiving yards. They are still first in passing yards. They're 103rd in rushing, but apparently nobody can rush the football, and it doesn't really matter anymore. Nobody needs to rush the football in the new college football. They're 9th in points for and 49th in points against. Jalen Polk is the other receiver that they have. He should reach 1,000 yards. He has 943 receiving yards. So he should get there this weekend. So their wins against ranked opponents. And I do apologize. So Alabama was 3rd because Washington is 21 with 51.4. So Washington's had hell of a schedule too. Wins against ranked Oregon Ducks, number 8, USC Trojans, number 20, Utah Utes, number 18, and the number 11 Oregon State Beavers. And that takes us to number 2. Georgia surprised me. They made it through the gauntlet of teams that they had to face, which is good. Doing what they need to do to get out of there. And they won pretty decisively. There was that minor trip up against Missouri. That ended up being 30-21 Georgia win. But then they beat number 9 Ole Miss 52-17 and then crushed the Tennessee Volunteers 38-10. So they have Georgia Tech for an in-state rival this weekend. And then that big matchup in the SEC championship against Alabama. So that one will be fun as well. Nothing really jumps out. I mean, they're top 10 on most categories, 6th in passing yards, 5th in points for, 5th in points against. So they're pretty consistent, pretty balanced, and up near the top in most everything. Don't really have a huge positional standout. They kind of work as a team and kind of do their own thing. Brock Bowers, the tight end, still leads the team in receiving yards. They just get it done. They're not flashy. They don't have really the big play guy this year. They just do work. So Georgia's strength of schedule, it's been a relatively weak schedule, honestly. 53 is their strength of schedule rating, 60.5. They do have wins against the number 20 Kentucky Wildcats, the number 12 Missouri Tigers, the number 9 Ole Miss Running Rebels, and the number 18 Tennessee Volunteers. Again, they're probably in whether they lose or win against Alabama. I think Georgia's already punched their ticket. Number 1, the Ohio State University Buckeyes. I want to see them beat Michigan by 100 just because I hate Michigan. And then looks like they're going to have Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. So as long as they don't fall asleep, that should be an easy win. The game, as it's called, between Michigan and Ohio State is in Ann Arbor this year. It's at 12 o'clock, as it always is. Again, McCord's kind of pedestrian as far as numbers go. Travion Henderson's back. That was a huge boost to him this weekend. They look like a different team with Travian Henderson back, really putting in work and running the football. It's good to see. I'm excited to see him back. And then the best wide receiver in the country, Marvin Harrison Jr., has passed the century mark and will continue to rack up yards as the games get bigger. I wouldn't throw to anyone else. I would love to have an option like that. So passing yards, they are 24th. Rushing tied for 86. That should go up with Travian Henderson back and healthy and ready to go. 100%. Points for 24th, and points against is second with 9.3 points against. Obviously, that's going to go up as we get into better competition and the playoff here, but that's pretty impressive to be, in that second spot in the Big Ten, and as big of a program as Ohio State is. They have handled their last couple opponents. My Michigan State Spartans, they beat 38-3, and it was embarrassing. They also beat Minnesota 37-3. Beat up on Rutgers 35-16. And their closest game was that win at Penn State 20-12. Strength schedule is 51. They really haven't played a whole lot of anything. Their out-of-conference matchups were Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame was ranked number 9 at the time, but that didn't transfer over real well. So they've been relatively untested. I think their strongest opponent was Penn State, and their wins against ranked teams are number 9, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and at number 7, Penn State Nittany Lions. It gives them, again, a strength of schedule of 51, 51st spot at 59.7 points. Still hasn't changed. Not going to. Ohio State will take on Washington. Georgia will take on Florida State. Winner plays for the national championship. Heisman Trophy, nothing's changed here. I think these are the two best players in college football, and you can't change my mind. Marvin Harrison Jr. is magnificent. Cannot say enough good things about him. I think Michael Penix Jr. is one of the best quarterbacks to come out of college football in a really long time. Again, I don't think he'll translate to the NFL because of the lefty, and you have to change up your protection schemes and all that good stuff. But I think Penix Jr. is a fabulous quarterback. And so we're going to wrap it up with games to watch this weekend. It's probably something I should have been doing the whole damn time, but didn't think of it until this week, so you get it this week. So these are games to watch this weekend. These are the ones I'll be watching in Discord and conversating with the crew. So if you're not a member, come on over. Watch football together. We have conversation about it, and we enjoy our Saturday afternoons. Michigan State is the home team. Penn State is the away team. It is at 7:30 p.m. on NBC. And the special part about this is it is at Ford Field. So Ford Field is where the Detroit Lions play football. Should be a cool atmosphere, cool environment. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Spartans getting the season over. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. So I'm hopeful that we can get out of here and at least be semi-respectable at the end of the year. I know that's a big ask given what we've been through, but yeah, it's an unfortunate season for the Spartans. I wish them the best. So, and that game is on a Friday night. That game is not on Saturday. That is a Friday night game, just so you're aware. If you're interested in looking at it, I'm looking at tickets right now. And might be going to Ford Field. Maybe. Anyways, moving forward, Oregon and Oregon State. So that one's going to have implications. Obviously, Oregon's going to win that so they can continue their trek for the playoff. should be a good game. That is at 8:30 p.m. on Saturday, and that one is on Fox. Excuse me, I lied. That one's on Friday on Fox. My apologies. Um, so that one's on Friday, and that's the last one on Friday. Uh, so I did do it right. Saturday, the slate kicks off with the game, as it's dubbed, uh, the Ohio State Buckeyes versus those guys from Ann Arbor. Starts at noon on Fox. It's going to be a hell of a game. Number 2 in the nation versus number 3, based on the polling. Uh, Winner gets in, loser probably goes home. So it is a pseudo playoff game. It's always fun, and I can't wait. It's a great time to watch football. Right after the game, we have the Iron Bowl, which is also always a great game to watch, no matter what the teams in front of them are, what kind of records they have, or anything like that. But we get Auburn, the Auburn Tigers, at home against the Alabama Crimson Tide in the Iron Bowl on CBS at 3:30. Uh, Then simultaneously, we'll be watching the Washington State game, another playoff implication game that starts at 4 p.m. on Fox, and that is known as the Apple Cup. The Apple Cup battle for the state of Washington. Uh, Florida State will be at 7 p.m. on ESPN. I want to see how they respond with a formidable opponent and how they do with their new quarterback. Like I said, he looked really good coming out of the game, but we'll see how he looks against a formidable opponent. Not a great one, but a formidable one. And then 7:30 on ABC, we have Georgia Tech versus Georgia. That one's just to see if Georgia's gonna run the table or if they drop one unexpectedly. Both could happen. Stranger things have happened. So that's slate of games I'm going to certainly be watching this weekend. There will be other ones. I will obviously be tuned into other football games as we go, but it's a good week for football. Tomorrow, we have the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day. Always a great tradition. And like I said, Friday, we have the Nittany Lions against the Michigan State Spartans at Ford Field in Detroit. And then Saturday, we have a full slate of great games that have incredible implications for the playoff picture. So, with that being said, that is going to do it for today's college football playoff projection. I'll see you next week with the going into the conference championship game. Take care and have a great day. Happy Thanksgiving.